Some mountains tower with impossible height. Others crush climbers with avalanches or walls of ice. But there is one mountain that combines every danger and places it in the middle of the Alaskan wilderness. At 20,310 feet, Denali is the highest mountain in North America. To tourists, it's a landmark in a national park, a peak that glows gold at sunset and dominates the horizon. To climbers, it's one of the harshest places on Earth, a place where storms bury tents in minutes, where falls into bottomless crevasses are common, and where temperatures can rival Antarctica. For more than a century, Denali has been a magnet for ambition and a graveyard for the unprepared. More than 120 climbers have died here, and when you count aviation crashes in the range, the toll nears 150. Their stories reveal why Denali has earned a reputation as America's deadliest mountain. Before Denali became a graveyard of ambition, it was first a dream of possibility. For years, expeditions had tried and failed to reach the summit. The mountain's sheer size, brutal storms, and endless glaciers made it seem untouchable. That changed in 1913. An expedition led by the church leader, Hudson Stuck, and guide Harry Karstens set out from the north side. With them were Robert Tatum, a young divinity student, and Walter Harper, a 21-year-old Athabascan from Alaska. Harper's strength and skill made him invaluable to the team. After weeks of hauling supplies across glaciers and cutting steps through ice, they pushed to the summit. On June 7, 1913, Harper was the first to set foot on the top of Denali, making him the first person ever to stand on North America's highest point. One of the darkest chapters in Denali's history unfolded in July 1967. A 12-man expedition led by Joe Wilcox set out to climb via the Karstens Ridge. It was a mixed group, some experienced, others relatively new to high-altitude mountaineering. At first, their progress was steady. They established camps high on the mountain and pushed toward the summit. But as they climbed, the weather turned. A brutal blizzard swept across Denali, with hurricane-force winds and whiteout conditions. Temperatures plummeted. The storm pinned the climbers down for days at over 18,000 feet, where survival depends on constant movement and careful rationing of supplies. 7 members of the team never came back. They died high on the mountain, frozen in the snow as the blizzard raged. It was the deadliest disaster in Denali's history up to that point. The tragedy sparked debate in the climbing community. Some blamed poor leadership and inexperience. Others argued that no team could have survived such a storm. What was clear is that Denali's weather is not just severe, it is merciless. From the early 1900s through 2006, Denali recorded 96 climbing deaths. That translates to more than 3 deaths for every 1,000 summit attempts, far higher than the average on most major peaks. Many of those deaths came from the same causes: falls into crevasses, exposure to the cold, avalanches, and altitude sickness. Unlike more crowded mountains such as Everest, Denali has no Sherpa support system and no helicopter rescues above high camp. Climbers carry their own loads, set their own ropes, and face the mountain on its terms. Since the mid-1990s, new regulations have improved safety. Mandatory registration, ranger patrols, and stricter rules about preparation have reduced the fatality rate. But the mountain has not grown kinder. Every year, climbers are injured, stranded, or killed. Denali's danger is not just history, it continues to claim lives today. In May 2024, Japanese climber Tomohiro Hagawara fell to his death near Denali Pass, around 17,000 feet. He had been climbing alone, a risky choice on any mountain, but especially here. Storms delayed search efforts, and his body was only recovered once conditions improved. Reports in June 2025 described another tragedy. Alex Chu, a 24-year-old skier from New York, fell thousands of feet on Denali's slopes. He was an experienced mountaineer and skier, but Denali offers no margin for error. Bad weather prevented rescuers from reaching him immediately. Days later, when conditions cleared, his body was found where the fall had ended. These stories show how Denali's unforgiving terrain turns even small mistakes into fatal accidents. Climbers are not the only ones who face Denali's dangers. In 2018, a small sightseeing plane operated by K2 Aviation crashed into Thunder Mountain near Denali. 5 people were on board, 4 passengers died on impact, but the pilot survived and managed to radio for help. For days, rescuers tried to reach the wreck, but glacier crevasses, steep slopes, and shifting weather prevented any safe approach. The pilot's faint signals continued, then went silent. By the time the site was finally reached, all 5 were gone. The crash showed how even reaching Denali's base can be as perilous as the climb itself. The Alaska Range surrounding the mountain is filled with storms, turbulence, and terrain that leaves no room for mistakes. Among mountaineers, few names carry more respect than Stump. A bold and visionary climber, he made first ascents around the world and pioneered new alpine-style techniques. But in 1992, Denali claimed him. Stump had successfully climbed the South Buttress, one of Denali's remote and demanding routes. On the descent, he fell into a hidden crevasse. The accident was sudden and final. One of the finest climbers of his generation was gone, swallowed by the ice. Stump's death highlighted one of Denali's most constant dangers. Crevasses are everywhere. Snow bridges can collapse without warning. A single step in the wrong place can turn a triumphant climb into tragedy. Not every story from Denali ends in loss. Some reveal resilience and survival against the odds. In 1970, an all-female expedition known as the Denali Damsels set out to climb the mountain. Led by Grace Homan, they faced skepticism from many in the mountaineering world. High on the West Buttress, at nearly 20,000 feet, Homan collapsed with altitude sickness. She was weak, disoriented, and close to death. But her team refused to leave her behind. They worked together, supporting her down the slope, step by step. Against the odds, she survived. The expedition made history, not just for reaching the summit, but for proving that teamwork and determination could overcome even Denali's brutal conditions. Denali is not the tallest mountain in the world, but in many ways, it is among the hardest. The vertical rise is staggering. From base to summit, Denali rises nearly 18,000 feet, more than Everest's vertical gain. Climbers must endure long days of hauling heavy packs and sleds across glaciers before they even reach the higher camps. The cold is relentless. Winter temperatures drop below 75 degrees below zero, and wind chills can reach 100 below. Even in summer, storms sweep across the mountain with little warning, burying tents and stranding teams. Isolation compounds the risk. Denali sits in the middle of Alaska's wilderness, hundreds of miles from major cities. Rescues are slow and limited. Climbers cannot rely on helicopters to pluck them from the death zone. They are on their own. And finally, the terrain itself is a maze of hazards. Crevasses, avalanches, Ice falls and steep ridges combine to make every step dangerous. Even on the standard West Buttress route, climbers face long traverses where a single slip can be fatal. Together, these factors make Denali a mountain that demands respect. Denali is a peak of contrasts. To visitors in Denali National Park, it is a beautiful backdrop, a postcard view of Alaska's wilderness. To climbers, it is a mountain that offers no forgiveness. From the Wilcox storm of 1967 to modern tragedies, its glaciers, storms, and isolation have claimed countless lives. More than North America's highest peak, it is America's deadliest mountain. If you enjoy stories of deadly mountains and impossible climbs, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments which peak I should cover next.